Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on finance. Today I am going to discuss about credit score. Now credit score is vital when you are making purchases using line of credit, whether it's be a car or it be a house. Now obviously if you're buying these items cash, you don't have to worry about your credit score. But for those people who are looking to finance something, then your credit score is what matters. Now let's get into it. Now credit score is made up of numbers. And say for instance, if you have a credit score between 650 and 699, that is considered fair. If your credit score is between 700 and 749, that is considered good. And if your credit score is 750 and above, that is considered perfect. Okay? Now, we all want to get a perfect credit score because then the lenders out there will be quicker to finance whatever it is that you're looking to finance from them. But there are 5 components that makes up that credit score, and I'm going to discuss that with you now. We have the payment history, the utilization, the length of credit history, the type of debt, and the increase. And these 5 components have a percentage that is associated with each one of them. Payment history, that is 35% of your credit score. Your utilization, that is 30% of your credit score. Your length of your credit history, that is 15% of your credit score. Your type of debt is 10%, and your increase is 10%. Now that all adds up to 100%, right? But usually, these are the 2 components that will hurt your credit score. And I am going to, well, the payment history is simply, you just have to make your payment on time. Try not to be late, okay? Because that's 35%. And each time you're late, sometimes literally if you're late with a credit card, that's like 15 points. One late, being late once on that credit card. So please try to pay your credit card. And one of the things that I would say to you, if you are buying anything with cash and you owe a credit card, I would make the payment on the credit card, even if it's a minimum or a little past the minimum, and then even if you use a credit card now and to purchase that item. So at least there, you already made your minimum payment on the credit card or more, so you're not going to fall into the situation where you would be late had you not doing so, and you bought that item for cash, and then when the bill due date is here, you don't have that money to pay for that credit card. No. So I would suggest for you, if you're using a credit card, don't buy anything cash. Put that money towards that credit card, and so that that payment will be reflected as being on time and you will not be late. Okay, so that's one tip. Second tip is the utilization. Now the utilization is usually the ratio between the amount of balance that you have on the credit card and the credit limit. So it's the ratio between the credit limit and the credit balance. And I'm going to demonstrate for you. Say for instance, you have a limit of $10,000, okay, on your credit card. That's your credit limit. Now, 30% of this $10,000 is $3,000. You want to keep at or below this, right, your credit balance on that card. All right? But ideally, that probably will end up giving you maybe a fair credit rating, but you want to achieve more than fair. You want to achieve at least good or perfect, given that all the other 4 you're holding, you're bargaining with the other 4 and everything is good. Because the length of the credit history is also important. The length of the credit history is meaning that if you have a credit card for 2 years, don't just get rid of it like that. Keep it a little bit longer. And I always say to people, do not get a credit card and use it if it is not giving you some sort of benefit, whether it's points towards purchases or towards a flight, or it could be cash back. Okay, so make sure that whatever credit card you have, you are getting benefit from that card. And also, whatever credit card that you have, you're making your payments on time and in full at when the bill is generated and before it is sent out to you, because that do matters, and I'm going to discuss more about that. Now, you have this $3,000 on that credit card. All right, say for instance that's a card that you don't use. Try to keep it below the 3,000. Ideally, if you can keep it at 1,000, it would be good. But I know times are rough, situation may come up, right? But just take this into consideration because it do affect your credit score. Now, it's not only for a debt that you may have on that credit card that you may not be using the card, but also on the card that you're using on a daily or weekly basis or a monthly basis. That matters also. If you have $10,000 credit card limit, right, on that card, please, even if you charge something on that credit card, say and now you have $5,000 on that credit card, pay down something on it before the next statement is being generated. Because if you keep that $5,000 on there and your statement is being generated, that number is going to be sent to the credit bureau and it's going to reflect that you are at 50%. You don't want to be at 50%. So you want to make payments on your credit card before the bill is generated if you made a purchase that is more than the 30%. But as I said, they are saying 30%, but ideally 10%. Keep it at 10%. So you shouldn't be having more than $1,000 on that credit card. But if you do run in a situation, as I telling you, make that payment before the next bill is being generated. So when the bill gets to you, it's only reflecting $1,000. That would be taking you to the ideal scenario where you would be in the fall in the category of having a perfect credit score. Now, another thing too, we know that the due date of the credit card, let's say for instance, is different from the closing date for the statement. So the due date is usually 4 to 5 days before the closing date for your credit card statement. This gives you 4 days of little room where you can, even if you paid your minimum and you didn't have the money to pay more so that your card is less, try to pay some more before the closing date. And then before the closing date, try to keep it at that $1,000 if it is $10,000 you have as your credit limit on that card. So what matters here is not just you paying off what is owed on the card, say the last statement that was generated to you and you pay that off. But if you're making purchase and putting it on the card, make sure that by the time the statement is being generated, it is at $1,000, which is 10%. Now, after it closes, now you can go ahead now and make more purchases, but still at the same time, whatever you make, pay them some money on that. Keep it at the 10% threshold, okay? So that this, when it's reflected when it's sent to the credit bureau, it is not showing that you are more than the 30% for your utilization, and then you'll be in good standing with your credit score. So just be mindful of that scenario, okay? And also pay off all that you have on your credit card when you get the statement, because you don't want them to charge interest, put interest on there on that statement. And I'm going to do a video on that too, because there's something very important that you need to know about that when you don't pay off your credit card. Even if you leave $100 on your balance, you were not able to pay it in full. I am going to do a video on that. So please be mindful of your payment history, because as I stated, if you're late, that's a negative 15 points sometimes negative 10. Utilization is very important, is a key component, all right, that will raise your credit score or that will drop it. You want to raise it, so in order to raise it, as I stated, try to be at least 10%, be at 10% of your utilization, okay, 10%. Yes, ideally they say 30%, but you want a perfect score, shoot for the 10%. Type of debt, that's only 10%, and the increase is really if you keep opening other credit cards there. You don't want to keep on opening credit cards over and over, too many in a short duration of time. That's where that 10% comes in also. And the type of debt, whether it's you looking into, say, a financing a car or just a credit card, that's important also. Okay, so please be mindful of the average of the credit score and where you want to be at, and make use of the techniques I just spoke about, or ways that you can increase your utilization so that you are at about 10%. So that's it I have for you today. Keep watching for more videos to come as I drop them on finance, math, and pattern making. Cheers now. Bye.